Welcome back to Notes Edition, where I read notes off my phone. Today's note is called The Challenge of Change. In many ways, our habits define us, reflecting what we value at our core. Taking the time and discipline to observe and refine these habits is crucial to self-development as well as to the long-term health of our relationships. For instance, if you spend every dime you make, your current lifestyle is guaranteed to be the best it will ever be. Your quality of life peaks early. Earning and spending immediately is, of course, rooted in the natural tendency to survive and enjoy life in the present. The advantage to this habit of immediate spending is reaping an immediate reward before the money we earn suffers from inflation. The disadvantage here is the lack of buffer against future uncertainty and future inflation. While spending everything immediately helps avoid the devaluation of that specific paycheck, it doesn't prevent inflation from devaluing the purchasing power of any recurring income. Any economy with a compounding inflation rate requires more and more work to maintain the same quality of life, with little to no hope of retirement. This dynamic leads many people to turn toward the habit of saving. A stash of savings helps provide a buffer against unexpected expenses in the short term, but does little to counteract future inflation. Investments can provide an increase in quality of life, but requires deferring that better lifestyle into the future. It's often counterintuitive and difficult to maintain. If you are accustomed to a certain lifestyle, a certain amount you spend on your family, a certain amount going out with friends, it can be very difficult to make the necessary changes to your lifestyle expenses. Imagine saying no to going out to eat with your family or going out for drinks with your friends. Changing is a challenge because it can isolate you from your current standard of living. While painful and difficult, the habit of saving and investing ensures that your current condition is the worst it will ever be, providing a potential path for incremental improvements over time. By forcing difficulty into the present, the future is made more palatable, increasing the odds of a higher quality of life down the line. There are many ways the rich get richer. Some ways are more honest than others. The poor, however, stay poor with predictability unless change is made. The chronically poor spend what they make, often taking on debt to fund an unsustainable living arrangement. With no margin to save and invest, there's little means or incentive to defer spending for the sake of investing, which is the only way rich people get richer. What's worse, constant inflation provides downward pressure on the ability for a struggling person to survive even the present, making saving and investing even more out of reach. The only option left is defiance. There's defiance by revolution, dissolution, or resolution. Revolution has repeated throughout history when the working class revolts against desperate conditions, simply rearranging the power structure. Dissolution occurs as a byproduct of burnout and hopelessness. If the system can't be changed or if an individual feels powerless against it, giving up is inevitable. Homelessness abounds with increased inflation and desperate working conditions. Resolution is the energy-efficient option that requires calculated strength and patience. This option requires keen observation of the root issue causing the financial insolvency through pattern recognition and risk tolerance. It takes adapting to the environment and executing the habits and steps that produce the desired result. Resolution requires tenacity. If inflation is spiraling out of control, the resolute find and hold assets that offset inflation in order to protect their savings. The turning point is the space with the most friction. If my income is low, my wealth is low, and usually so are my savings habits. When my wealth is low, but I begin to increase my wealth building habits, it's like a skinny person lifting weights at the gym, it looks out of place. The necessary component to change is overcoming the difficulty of that exact friction. For the inertia to reverse in the canoe, there's a painful slowing down process and an equally painful paddle upstream. As your focus changes, so will your habits, environments, and ultimately your relationships. In a relationship that can only be sustained through the expenditure of disposable income will naturally be the first to go. These are the nice to have acquaintances and friendships that have value that will be painful to lose, whether consciously or circumstantially. But for the sake of focus and longevity, you start to spend your time, energy, and money toward the highest value principles, relationships, and assets. Once you can survive under more sustainable conditions, you can slowly reintroduce niceties to the extent that they won't hold you back from your priorities. In a way, the challenge of change is the hardest thing you'll ever do, and yet it's easier than whatever you're doing right now that got you stuck in the first place. And that's today's note.